your players are lucky to have you, to have someone
Oh,
as such a significant figure in their lives who has that approach. It's pretty amazing. You know, you
well,
referenced Coach Wooden earlier, and just that idea of I love that image of Tuesdays with Coach Wooden, and you going over there and bringing Baskin Robbins and
yep,
hanging out, talking about I'm sure a lot about basketball, but I'm sure probably a lot more about life.
absolutely.
Can you take us into one of those meetings you would have?
It is so funny. I would go over there, and Tuesdays with Coach was just like this sacred ground, a sacred time. And honestly, it was probably 5% about basketball. I mean, it really just was about being with him and hearing what he's excited about from his great grandkids and grandkids, and his lemon custard or strawberry ice cream. He was very particular about which ones were his favorites. But I just every time I would leave, and it was before the your AI note takers and things like that. I'm like, oh my gosh, did I treasure everything? Did I get everything down that he said? Because the wisdom was just flowing out of him, the nuggets that would come. But mostly it's just a friendship. By the end of it, there's a few of us, Annie Myers and Miss Val Condos Fields, who, Sue Enquist, that called him Papa. And I'm always thankful to his family who shared him with so many others so graciously. But it was this time I would think about getting back in my car after we were done, and I'm like, how did I get to do this? This is just incredible. And his impact on my life, it's just incredible. I lost my dad 5 years ago, and I wondered, hey, I wonder if they're up there in heaven watching this, and wanting to make them both proud, because I'm so fortunate to have been mentored by somebody like him.
Yeah, when I first became the head coach of the Cowboys, a guy named Calvin Hill, Grant Hill's
Ooh,
dad, is a good
yeah.
friend and worked for the Cowboys, and he said, "Hey, you need to go see Coach K down at Duke." And
Hmm.
I said, "Don't ask me twice on that one. I'll go tonight." And so he arranged it, and a few weeks later, I went down there and I spent the entire weekend with him. My wife and I went down, but he allowed me to be in every meeting, every shoot around, every meal, whatever. And we've developed a great friendship since then. But I can remember going back to the hotel at late because he worked late and just getting a notebook out and writing and writing and writing and writing and writing. And I mean, I filled up notebooks just trying to remember everything that he said.
Oh,
And
his
and again, it's about basketball, but it's about life and building teams and leadership and interacting with people and all these things that make such an impact. And I was like you, I'd walk out, say, I'm getting a chance to hang out with this guy. This
it
is unbelievable. And to
it
develop that
is.
kind of friendship, it's invaluable, right?
Well, and it's so interesting. We're in this day and age where it's these mega contracts and these outside things and social media personas and building your brand. And you can see it in your eyes, and I can feel it as I talk, that it just melts you when you're around people of character that really care, and that you're doing something that really matters. You're learning about something that really matters. And I just, basketball or football or sports, really in general, I still believe are the best training ground we have for citizens in our country right now. And I don't know if there's been a time we've needed it more, where to hold on to things like that. Because, I mean, you have been such an incredibly successful football coach. I've watched you from afar. I'm a football fan, but I bet all of those things pale in comparison to the moments, the leadership, the relationships. And I just hope we as a society hold on to that, and we really treasure what sports can bring, and not as much from the entertainment avenue, but from the character development avenue and preparatory life skills avenue. That's why we got to hold on tight.
Yeah, no doubt. Well said. I wonder, as a kid, I can remember memorizing all the incredible phrases of Coach Wooden, of the pyramid of success and, make each day your masterpiece and all the things. I'm wondering when you're in a conversation, eating lemon custard from Baskin Robbins with him, I'm wondering if he speaks, in those maxims. Do they come out just naturally, or is it more of a regular conversation?
Well, it's more of a regular conversation, but it just flows as a part of it,
Yeah.
and You and you just all of a sudden go, wow, that was amazing. Like I remember I used to coach at Florida State, and I took the recruiting coordinator, John Lilly, and other assistant coach, Lance White, to go meet him. And these are two of the best recruiters in the country. But I warned him, I said, John, I said, Lance, write down things you want to ask coach. And they're like, guys, I could talk to a wall. I'm a football recruiter. Blah, blah, blah. And I said, I'm just telling you, you're going to get there and you're going to be awestruck, and you're not going to know what to say. And they're like, you don't know me well enough, Cori, blah, blah. And we get out there, and sure enough, the first 3 hours we were in his living room, they said nothing. And I just was like, okay, guys, this is absolutely ridiculous. And I just was like sitting there with them, and I was like looking at him like, speak up, but I just led the conversation. And then we finally got him to go to lunch with us, and we were going, and Lance is like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. He goes, there was so much wisdom coming and spewing out of him. I couldn't think about what I was going to have to say next. And so that's really what it is. But the maxims, I mean, I use them all the time, to my players' chagrin.